Welcome to my channel. This is a budget photographer, where photography doesn't have to break your bank. I've been doing photography for quite some time, but I still remember the first day I tried out a super telephoto lens. It gives me amazing perspective. It brings the subject so close in front of my eyes, with all the shocking details. It was truly an unforgettable and exciting experience. That's why today I'm going to talk about this lens. This is the Panasonic 100-300 Mark II super telephoto. In my opinion, this is probably one of the best budget-friendly super telephoto lens money can buy. The first reason is the 600mm equivalent focal length, making it a viable option for birding, for wildlife, or just a casual walk in the zoo. At 500 grams, this is probably one of the lightest super telephoto lens. Let's compare it to a full-frame lens of similar focal length. Here is the OM System 150-600mm lens, which is based on the full-frame version of the 150-600 Sigma lens. The 150-600mm lens is almost the 4 times the weight of this Panasonic 100-300mm lens. And when you compare the size, well, do I need to say more? This lens is like a baby. I took this lens to the San Francisco Fleet Week. I was photographing the air show all day. When I came back home, my shoulder does not feel pain, my arms were fine, and all I brought home are a great memory and thousands of photos. This lens is also splash and dust proof. Once I left this lens outside for astrophotography overnight, and it actually started to rain midnight. The next morning, the lens and the camera are soaking wet, but the lens is still doing fine today. For astrophotography, at 600mm equivalent focal length, this lens immediately opens up the possibility for celestial objects, like the sun and the moon. It's also possible to photograph the deep sky objects with this lens. But I would suggest using a star tracker for 2 reasons. 1, the lens's relatively dark aperture. 2, the long focal length of this lens. In terms of optical performance, I think it's acceptable for the starry sky. The star stays in good shape. I don't see any coma in the corner nor the center. The zoom ring is also quite sturdy. It doesn't really creep when you point it to the deep sky objects. With some loosey-goosey star tracking and post-processing, this lens can really bring home some amazing details of the cosmos. As a budget-friendly super telephoto, the optical performance is not perfect. If you need heavy cropping, well, you can magnify the optical imperfections. As you can see in this image, the purple fringing is actually quite distracting. And trust me, I have already attempted to correct the fringing in post-processing. So when you use this lens to photograph the subject, make sure the subject fill up the frame and you don't need too much crop. Another issue is the manual focus ring. This is probably the worst manual focus ring I have ever used on any lens. It's stiff, it's not responsive, and it's not precise. So that's probably the only reason that I would not say it's my top pick for astrophotography. People have been complaining about the sharpness of this lens at 300mm. I partially agree with the complaint. But when I put the raw file through the DxO Pure Raw 3,
It actually sharpens up the lens quite nicely. I don't have any issue shooting at 300mm anymore. At less than $400 used, this lens is definitely a no-brainer for people who want to try out super telephoto on a budget. It's not perfect, but it has a lot to offer. If today's video is interesting or inspiring, would you please thumb up and subscribe? Comment down below what is your pick for a budget-friendly super telephoto. This is the Budget Photographer. I'm Bruce, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.